Hello, my name is Anastasia Antina and I'm the founder of Advanced Edge Professional Services. So today I want to talk about such a subject as managing client expectations about the due dates and ETAs or estimated time of arrival. So a very natural question any client asks in any industry is when? When will I receive what I ordered? When will I be able to use the product or service that I want? And sometimes such questions lead to the situations when the relationships between the vendor and the client get ruined completely. And I want to talk about the three important steps that vendors have to address in any industry. It can be software development industry or any other industry. So how we should address these questions to enhance, build and maintain long-lasting, efficient, productive relationships with our clients. So the three important steps and things here that should be addressed are the following. Number one, agree on what is being delivered. This sounds simple, and that is why maybe sometimes this step is skipped or omitted, but instead it should be addressed properly. What I mean by this is following. Even such a simple thing as assume implementing the login functionality for a customer portal may cause different assumptions in different stakeholders' minds, right? So we have to thoroughly understand and document what exactly is being delivered. So some questions in my examples would be the following. Should the user be able to log in using the email address only? Are we implementing the functionality that will allow users to log in using their social network accounts, such as Facebook or LinkedIn? And if so, what social networks are covered? Is two-factor authentication part of the login process? And are we implementing and delivering this now? Do we need a capture on the login screen? Where will the user land after successful login? On their profile with the ability to manage and update it, or on some other landing screen? Is there ability to restore password part of this functionality? So there are many questions and little peculiarities even in a very simple deliverables, right? Which may sound as implement login functionality. That is why I'm saying that spend your time on documenting what is in scope. And other very important and powerful practice is to separately write down all the assumptions and document what is not part of the scope. So this is step one, and it doesn't finish here. So it's not enough just to document this, but it should be communicated to all the relevant stakeholders. So the role of the business analyst here or any other person, regardless of the job title, who is doing the business analysis activities, is to make sure that this information is communicated to all the relevant stakeholders. What I mean by this is make sure that you present this to the relevant stakeholders verbally, and it is even better if you use some visuals, for example mockups or prototypes or schemas or tables or whatever, those artifacts that are the most suitable in the particular situation. So it can be a call with your client, it can be an offline meeting, it can be a video conference, but this information, the description of the in-scope functionalities and out of scope should occur, and you have to receive a confirmation from your client that is saying, yes, we agree that this is what we need now, right? In case a customer has some concerns, and it is also okay because people might have different expectations, just address those concerns. For example, you're seeing that at first the login functionality will include the login via email only, and the client says that they really need login via Facebook at this stage. That's okay, just include it, analyze it, and provide an estimate for that as well. So step one finishes here. Agree on what is in scope, what is out of scope, and receive the client's confirmation on this. Communicate this information and receive your client's confirmation. Now, all the relevant stakeholders have common shared understanding on what is being developed, what is being completed, and what will be delivered. Now, when we know the what, let's talk about the when. If we know what exactly we need to build, we can now forecast the due date for this, right? Work with the development team, with all the relevant and involved parties to understand the estimated time of arrival of this functionality. And it is not only important to understand it, but again, it has to be thoroughly communicated to all relevant stakeholders so that they also know that ETA or due date for the functionality, for the deliverables that have been confirmed in step 1. And it is important to have this due date documented in a knowledge base accessible by all the relevant stakeholders, communicated verbally and probably via email or some other means of communications that you use in this initiative, right? And also make sure that this due date is up to date. So it's not like we say that this will be ready by January 1st, 2025, and then we never come back to this date, never talk about this date again, and it becomes not applicable and everybody forgets about it. This is a failure scenario. So make sure that you have it. It is documented, accessible by all relevant stakeholders, and it is always up to date. This is step 2. So now we know step 1, what is being delivered, and we have a shared understanding among all relevant stakeholders. Number 2, we know when this will be delivered. We have at least a forecast of the date, and this when has also been shared with all the relevant stakeholders. This is how we build and we maintain alignment and transparency in the relationships with our clients. So, and one other crucial thing is step 3. Make sure that now, when we know what is being delivered and when it should be delivered, we constantly communicate the progress and confirm this due date. So, how can this be addressed? How can this be implemented? How can this be done? You can use weekly calls or meetings, offline meetings with your clients to demonstrate the progress. It is not a fully functional thing yet, but still you demonstrate that we are working on this. This is what has already been done. And yes, the due date is still accurate. We are going to finish it by January 1st, 2025, for example. Right? So this communication about the progress should be regular. It is like a heartbeat for this process. It can be weekly or bi-weekly. You define the schedule, or more frequent probably. You define the schedule, but make sure it is in place. One other important thing is that changes happen, and that's okay, especially in the today's dynamic world, right? But as soon as they happen, make sure that you analyze the influence of those changes on the ETAs and on the deliverables. So basically on that what that was part of our step 1 and of that when that was part of our step 2. If the changes that happen in the development process inside your company, outside your organization, with the client influence either what or when, analyze that influence and provide the client with the update as soon as possible. Not wait till the very last responsible moment, provide as soon as possible this information. Right, so you should, for example, the due dates have changed. Instead of delivering this by January 1st, 2025, you will be able only to deliver it by the February 1st, 2025. And that's okay because, again, changes happen. But two important things here as well. Number 1, communicate this update as soon as possible. Number 2, provide sufficient reasoning why this is happening. And also, number three, provide an updated ETA always. Not just, we are not going to make it by January 1st, 2025. Instead of this, form your sentence, your update in the following way. We are not providing this by January 1st, 2025. This will be ready by February 1st, 2025 because, and the sufficient reasoning. If this is not acceptable by the client, discuss alternatives, and probably that what that was originally defined will have to be changed somehow, to find a compromise between the what and the when. So to sum it up, the three important steps in managing their due dates with your clients, the way so that your relationships are clear, transparent, efficient, long lasting, and there is trust and predictability in those relationships. Make sure that everybody has a shared understanding about what is being delivered, when it is being delivered, and there are regular demonstrations and communication of the progress on what and when, and if any changes occur either to the what or the when, those changes are communicated as soon as possible with sufficient reasoning, and this is done clearly and transparently. If you have any questions, post them. Thank you very much for your time. Bye.